A big welcome to all the viewers watching Soul to Soul talk show. In this episode, we have a very special person joining us, Sister Denise from London, and she is the first student of the Brahma Kumaris from the West, and she has worked with the BBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and has also spent 25 years with the Hollywood doing shows for the Brahma Kumaris. And presently she is staying at the Global Cooperation House and is a teacher of the Brahma Kumaris. A big welcome to you, sister.
Thank you, Saranya.
Pleasure to have us.
Thank you.
So, could you describe your life as a Brahma Kumari?
Well, I've been with Brahma Kumaris now 38 years, and so that is the major portion of my life. So from the age of 23, I came into Brahma Kumaris. That was during the 1970s. So the world at that time and the world now is a very, very different world. And in those days, people were extremely interested in spirituality from India, and Raj Yoga was something very special. Meditation was something that was becoming very important for people. People were questioning why the world is like it is, and feeling that, and this was my feeling also, I need to learn to meditate. And so I discovered the Brahma Kumaris in London, and I began the Raj Yoga course, which I liked very much. It corresponded to what I had been thinking about for a long time. I liked the meditation methods. I had very good experience of meditation. And I liked the idea that you can integrate your spiritual practice with your work. And I was working in media, which is a very high stress kind of job. And you have to work sometimes 24 hours a day, depending on the news that's going on. I was working in news. And so it was extremely helpful for me. And I made it my life. After some time, I came to India. And as being the first person from the West in Brahma Kumaris, of course, and as being a journalist, I have to check this. And so I traveled throughout India. I came to the headquarters at Mount Abu. And at that time, Brahma Kumaris was much smaller than it is now. And the majority of the sisters could not speak English. So I used to mostly talk with the brothers, the senior brothers who would speak English. And at that time, I didn't know Hindi, of course. I went to Madras, Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, Hyderabad, many of the main cities, Kanpur also, where the Brahma Kumaris centers had been established, because I wanted to really check that what is this? Not only from the point of view of the spiritual knowledge that we study here, and the meditation that we practice, but also as an organization, as an institution, how is it functioning? And so I found that it fully satisfied my curiosities and my criteria. And then after that, I decided to make this my life, actually, and I became a dedicated Brahma Kumari from that time.
Since how many years?
So that was within a few months of coming into the knowledge, so about 4 or 5 months afterwards, so very quickly. And you see, in those days, we had our training as a Brahma Kumari was hands-on with the dadis. You see. So the person who was my teacher was Dadi Janki, who is now the head of the Brahma Kumaris. And so she taught me each and everything. And I used to question her on every detail of everything. And of course, in the study that we do, there are many references to Indian society, history, mythology, scriptures.
Right.
And so I studied all of those because I felt that you can only do this at any level of depth if you really know the background. And then I went to different countries for service. First of all, I had a year in Germany. And all of these foreign centers were just starting. So I was right at the beginning of Germany, of Canada, of United States. And I stayed in United States for 30 years. And after that, so I came to understand the American people very well because I'm English. And to bring the spirituality of India into America, it doesn't go just straight directly. You have to really take the essence of the knowledge that is taught here and make it relevant, make it applicable to people's lives there. It has to be relevant to people who have a background of Christianity, of Judaism, of Buddhism. United States is a very pluralistic society. Many different ethnic groups are there. There's a huge Indian community there. And so, of course, I needed to make myself capable of representing this knowledge to people of many different backgrounds. And so that was a very interesting training. And how to be a good yogi, a good spiritual practitioner. This is something that, of course, you take a whole lifetime to become a good yogi. And so under Dadi Janki's guidance, she has, you know, enabled me to follow the same route that the original Brahma Kumars and Kumaris had followed from the 1930s and still make it relevant now in the 21st century. So that has been very interesting. Then I spent 7 years continuously within India. I stayed at Mount Abu. I was preparing books. And we have now in the education wing of the Brahma Kumaris, there is a program that is done in connection with Annamalai University, which is called Value Education. And so I prepared all the books for that and initiated the delivery of the course. So that gave me a wonderful opportunity to work closely with many different universities in India and also with the different Indian centers. I traveled very widely in India and worked closely preparing teachers.
Training teachers.
Training teachers to deliver the course. I think there's about 5,000 students a year who study that course. I'm not involved with it at the moment because it was taken up by the education wing and everything is working very nicely with that. And after that I was in Canada. I had been in Canada in the 70s and then again after our administrative head Dadi Prakash Mani at the time when she passed on. At that time I was asked to go to Canada, so 3 years I spent in Canada, which is again another different culture. It's North America, but not the same as USA by any means. And it's a bilingual country. And my mother is French, so I have that as my mother tongue. French and English is the same for me. And there in Canada, it's a huge country. I think it takes 9 hours by flight to go from the east to the west. It's that big.
Okay.
That's the same distance more than from London to Delhi. So it's a very vast country and with many different cultures there. And so that was also very interesting. And then the last 2 years I've been based in England, and I travel throughout Europe, Eastern Europe, and beyond Europe also. Basically, now what we have is we have a lot of centers and a lot of people from all different ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, language groups, cultural groups. And I think my function really is to make relevant and share my nearly 40 years experience as a Western person practicing this spirituality which originated here in India. So that is what I do at this time.
So in this journey of 40 years, like, you've met people from different cultures, as you said. So have you found any difference in the way they accept this knowledge, or is it easily accepted by people from all the cultures that you have met?
It is extraordinary. Whatever you would think, it's not like that. One of the things that we do, and part of the philosophy of Brahma Kumaris, is everyone is a soul. Everyone is a soul, and so when you're talking to a person as a soul, as a human being, a human soul, you realize that all the people in the world are fundamentally very close to each other, and that the overlay of different culture and civilizations and language and background and so on, even people who had been raised in former communist countries where everyone was raised atheist, as soon as you start talking about matters of spirituality, it clicks in, you see. And you find that you're talking to your spiritual brother, your spiritual sister. And it's really a very close feeling. Whether somebody is from the East or the West or whatever, fundamentally, all of us share so much. We have so much in common that the variations add beauty and variety, but they really don't constitute walls, you see. So I found it very easy to come very close to people from any religious background, cultural background.
And you also said, like, it gave answers to many questions that you had since a long time. So what were those questions?
Well, you know, ever since I was very small, I wanted to understand what is the meaning of life. And what is life itself, and what is, I always wanted, even as a small child, I thought the best thing would be to get the third eye.
Oh, you knew about the third eye?
I knew about the third eye. I don't know how I knew about the third eye, but my family was very connected with the British Raj in India, in Calcutta, and even in Mount Abu. And so I grew up with Indian objects, little boxes, clothes, saris, all the beautiful artistic items that are created here in India. So there was always a feeling of closeness to India. I used to listen to the sitar music and the tablas, and I was very attracted. And even I had sari. I used to wear sari from the age of 13 because I thought this looks very nice. And other people said, why are you wearing this? I said, well, you don't know, but this looks good, so I'm wearing it. And so even when I came to Brahma Kumaris, and as you can see now, I'm wearing the sari, which I have worn since the beginning. And of course, I knew exactly how to put a sari. So the sisters were quite surprised, actually. Yeah. And so, you know, the feeling of closeness to India was always there. And even as I grew up, there were many people around who had come from India. So there was always that feeling of being comfortable with things and people from India.
Have you read the Indian scriptures,
Yes.
the Gita,
Yes. Yes.
before coming, knowing the Brahma Kumaris?
Somewhat, but you know, we have a particular study that we study on a daily basis when you practice the Brahma Kumaris Raj Yoga, and there are many references. And so, in order to give me adequate
Understanding,
sense and all these things, so the Gita, the Bhagavad, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the all the Sikh scriptures also, and then of course Quran, you see, because the aim of spirituality, no matter what your background is, but the aim is to realize yourself and to come close to God. And so who is God, what is God, how do you know, how do you make connection, all of these things are matters to be pondered upon. And so meditation involves thinking deeply about these things. These are intangible, these are subtle, they're very deep. And in India you have a huge, you know, pantheon of different deities, festivals, scriptures, symbols, all of these things. And so it's a wonderful work of exploration, and then you have to fit it all together with whatever else there is in this world, so that you have a picture. And then you pursue your work of personal spiritual development. And it goes through many terrains. You develop different aspects at different times, you see, because in many years, like for me nearly 40 years, so in your 20s things have a different importance, in your 30s it's different, in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, it's different, you see.
But when does spirituality become a priority? In which age group?
I don't think it's about age group. I think it's about the individual. And so for me, spirituality was always a priority from the beginning, even since childhood.
But it's a common notion that spirituality is usually taken up when people grow old in their 60s. Why is that so then?
Well, because when you get older, you might die. And so, when you're young, you always think you'll not die, but you might. And some people, they carry on until they're 95, 96, 100. Many people live to 100 nowadays, but it is common in the society to tell people, and we have in India the ashrams, you see. And so when you're a child, you are a child, then you're a student, then you get married, then you develop your business, then you get your grandchildren, and then finally you head off in the general direction of you want to achieve liberation, mukti, you want to go to heaven, whatever it is, but you start thinking about those things.
Yes.
And also for a lot of people, it's not, I think, until you have really lived a full life that you have enough life experience to seriously deal with spirituality. I think also as people are growing up, they deal with different psychological issues that arise, you know, and you have to really finish off your psychological issues before you can really get to the deeper spiritual issues. This has a philosophic content too, but it varies with individuals and with communities, you know.
Psychological issues like?
Well, your character. Now, one of the things that we see, most people, as they grow up, they experience different sorts of traumas, shocks, and this affects them. It can even create a wound in their psyche, and this will create a distortion in their development, their emotional development, their social development, and so on. And so this creates character defects. And these character defects get in the way when you want to develop yourself spiritually. So you have to then work through that.
But to work through that, how do they get help from to work through that? Where do they get help
Well,
from?
there's lots and lots of ways, because you see, in this world today, these psychological issues are so prevalent, so widespread, that there's a lot of people who are in the field of psychology, sociology, and so on, who deal with that, so that it's very common in schools. There are people who help the students to deal with these things. In the West, and it's happening more and more in India, the children grow up in families where the parents are divorced. That's a trauma right there, you see. Or if one of the parents dies, or gets very ill, or accidents, or you know, in some societies the use of alcohol and drugs is very great. Although it's not so well recognized, but India has a huge problem of alcohol abuse. And so children who grow up in families where there is alcohol use and abuse, where there is irrational behavior in the elders, this is a traumatic effect on the children. And so they grow up with these distortions of character. You see. It makes it very difficult for them to study properly, for them to relate properly, and so on. So all of these things, when you want to go deep into yourself and really understand your spiritual nature, these get in the way. So you have to work through it.
So in this episode, we just took our first step on this journey with Sister Denise, and she explained her life as a Brahma Kumari and all, you know, the different cultures of people that she met, and she defined the aim of spirituality. In the forthcoming episodes, we will take up further spiritual experiences that she has had in her life as a Brahma Kumari, and hopefully we will be meeting you in that episode too. Thank you, sister, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us in this episode, and we wish to meet you in the next episode too. Have a great day. Hello and a big welcome to all the viewers watching Soul to Soul Talk Show. Today, yet again, we have with us Sister Denise from London, and she will be with us in this episode too. A big welcome to you, sister. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Sister, in the previous episode, you introduced to us what spirituality is. But why is spirituality needed for everyone?
I think that it's becoming more and more spoken about. Spirituality is coming into the mainstream media, you know, especially also this idea of yoga. People feel that something is missing. I think that part of it is to do with health issues. People experience stress. They have stress-related illnesses, more and more heart problems, diabetes, various things like this. Then another thing that people are experiencing a lot is relationship problems. Difficulty in their relationships with their spouse, with their children, with their parents, with their friends, at work, within their community. People are experiencing anxiety, which they don't know where it came from. And all of these experiences are causing people to say to themselves, I have to find a solution, and probably it lies something to do with spirituality. And so because of that, a lot of people started to think, well, they need to meditate. Or sometimes people, they feel affected by violence. There's a lot of violence in the world today, and people themselves dealing with anger, dealing with domestic violence, dealing with you know, harassment in the workplace. And so these bring up questions inside people that what's going on? And the answers to these questions are sending people progressively more into the realm of spirituality. Because spirituality is about inner calm, inner peace, inner silence. Spirituality is about knowing one's heart, oneself, gaining self-control over one's emotions and feelings, understanding oneself, and also developing powers to manage more and more stressful situations that are there in the world today. And so it's really circumstances that have been pushing people towards this, together with something else. People are feeling in the world today that the world as we know it is changing so radically and so drastically. They're trying to make sense of it. And the you know, the world of science has been very helpful to people, but in some ways is raised more questions than it's answered. And so spirituality talks about a worldview which is beyond the area covered by science. And so people are interested in it, and as people become more and more interested in it, different terminology to do with spirituality is now becoming common. It's very common for you to hear in a place like England or America, oh, your problems are because of your karma. You see. So this word karma, you'll hear it quite a lot. That's your karma, you know. You have to just handle it. And so people are starting to be conversant with this. Or people say, oh, well, I need to meditate on that. Or I need to have some quiet time. You know, and in businesses you get prayer rooms or quiet rooms where people can refresh themselves internally. And so this is really something that is becoming part of our culture. And the other thing is that we have a very pluralistic society. There are people moving from one part of the world to another, huge emigration movement. You get, I think, when I used to live in Los Angeles, we had probably more than 100 languages spoken in the school system. And different communities from different parts of the world appearing in little areas around the huge city that it is. In London, where I live now, is huge with lots of different ethnic communities, different kinds of religious groups, and because of the huge difference, people are looking for what is the common thread. And so the word spirituality arises when we're talking about the common thread. Otherwise, people are kind of against each other because of the differences.
Right.
A spirituality provides a thread of commonality that binds people together. So spirituality is also very much to do with values. And in the world today, people are questioning about why there is such a lack of values and how to bring values back into common interaction. And the source of values is generally considered to be spirituality. And so there's a lot of work that we do, and the work I was telling you earlier in another conversation that we had, we talked about the need for developing values, and values and spirituality go together very well. I see.
But is meditation like the foundation stone for spirituality?
Well, meditation is a practice. Meditation is a practice of focusing your mind and getting in touch with your soul at its deepest level. That's the first step of meditation. The second step of meditation is connecting with a higher power, a higher being, God, the Supreme Being, so that you can draw strength and spiritual energy, spiritual values into yourself. Because people experience themselves to be depleted, spiritually depleted, you see. You know, somebody will say, well, I want you to love me fully. And somebody else wants you to love them fully as well. And you find yourself saying, but I just don't have enough love for fulfilling all these people's expectations. And so love is one of the essential, quintessential qualities of the soul. It's an energy which sustains people. But if you're empty, then you say, what happened? I need to fill up. You can't go and buy that in the supermarket. It's not
available.
not that kind of thing. So then you're looking for the source. What would be the source of spiritual love? So that becomes a higher entity, a higher energy, you see. And so there the question of the supreme power, the supreme being or God arises. Because we are fundamentally, we are spiritual beings who are manifesting in physical bodies. These are our costumes. We interact with each other, but who am I? This deep question, who am I? This is what you consider in meditation. Who am I? Do you know who you are? No idea. You know? You say, oh, my name is so-and-so, my country is such and such. That will give you something, but it won't really tell the depth of who you are. So these are deep questions to ponder on. And what is my place in the universe? What is my purpose? Do you know why you are here? No idea. You just got born, and then you do what you can, and eventually you will die, and then what is the meaning of all that? People want to know. So meditation is to consider some of these deep subjects in a systematic way. And so you need to learn how to meditate. You know, one of the very interesting things about meditation is you learn to be detached. Detachment is a very good thing. Detachment means I consider myself to be a spiritual being, and this body, this is a vehicle, this is an instrument through which I perform. I'm an actor, I perform. But in meditation, you turn within. You detach yourself from identification with this body, and you begin to identify yourself with the soul. The soul is light. Light. Very extraordinary light. Spiritual light, which is actually a being, or sometimes we call this the life force, the animating force that gives life to the body. You know, when somebody dies, they say, he's gone. Who has gone? What has gone? You know, that life force, that spirit, you see. And so meditation is where you start identifying with that. And I am that, and I'm using this. This is mine, I am me. Soul located in the forehead. So we start thinking, okay, I'm a being of light. And in Brahma Kumaris you hear this word Om Shanti very often.
Yes.
Om Shanti. We always say Om Shanti when we want to say hello or goodbye or don't worry about anything or things like that. And Om Shanti is a very well-known mantra in India. And in Brahma Kumaris we say Om Shanti introduces the self. Om, the sacred syllable, Om means I am, I exist. And Shanti means peace. So my fundamental self is I am a soul at peace. So this is your baseline. So the idea is, okay, I am Om Shanti. I start off, I'm a peaceful soul. I come into action through the body. I talk, I do things. When an action is finished, like here we are, we're in front of cameras, we're doing this, we have viewers and so on. Life is like that. We are actors, we do some performance, and then that scene is finished. So in meditation, between each scene, Om Shanti, just become peaceful. So that every next performance is separate from the last performance. They don't run into each other.
So you don't have to take out time for meditation, is it?
Well, you see, how long is time? You know, in a second, you can say, okay, let me just stop. I am a peaceful soul. Back to your baseline. And then, next performance. Some meditators meditate for long periods of time.
Right.
You know, and we do. In different parts of the day we will dedicate to different activities. And so most of us Brahma Kumars and Kumaris, we meditate early in the morning, maybe for about an hour. Very early morning. We call it Amrit Vela, the hour of nectar. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, you sit in deep silence.
But why 4?
Nobody will phone you up at that time. Nobody will bother you. All the other people in the house are sleeping. You have that very quiet time before sunrise, you know. All the nighttime activity is over. It's like an in-between time. Very good time, we like that. And then the other time that we like to have longer meditation is at the end of the working day, and there's a pause in the day before you move into your social activities of the evening. So 7 o'clock, half an hour meditation, we will sit. And this period is known as Numasham. a dusk meditation. Sunset, the night is coming, the day is finishing. It's a very good time to just spread peace and, you know, unwind from the day, let the things of the day fall away, have a little quiet time with the self, refresh the self, because meditation is a refreshment of the self. And then you go into your social interaction with your people at home, your friends, you see, because that's a very important part of your life.
Right.
And then during the day, in between times, we will stop and just have a minute of silence, 2 minutes of quiet. Even it can be a few seconds. The interspersing moments of quiet through the day, and it refreshes you. Otherwise, everything mixes into everything else and it becomes quite exhausting. This way, meditation is like having a little cup of tea in between things, and a cup of tea for the soul, you know? And so we like to do that. And then the other thing which meditation is for is you're going to review your day. This we find very, very good because, you know, what did you do today? Well, I have no idea, right? So at the end of the day, okay, go back. You got up, you got ready, this was your morning, this was your lunch, this was your afternoon, this was your evening, how did it go? You know, take a look, because one day in the life of a person gives you a pattern of your whole self. And of course the aim of spirituality and meditation and all this is to know yourself. You see, and you ask people, well, who are you? And after a little while there's no clue. I really don't know who I am. How do you know who you are? Well, you have to watch yourself, observe yourself. What is your value as a human being? What makes you special? What is your importance? Why are you having this life? You know, what is your life for? All of these are connected with the answer to the question, who am I? So when you look back at your day, at the end of the day, you get to see what kind of a character you are. Are you loving? Are you supportive? Are you jealous? Are you greedy? Are you interesting? Are you boring? You know. So all of these things we will look and we will give ourselves a self-assessment. Because spirituality is also very much to do with building your character. And so you want to really understand yourself by observation.
Only then you can change yourself if you want.
Yes, yes. We are free. We can be exactly who we want. But if we don't know who we are and we don't know who to be, then other people tell us, so you are this and you have to be that, and maybe that's not appropriate. You see, because in this world, other people are always telling you, you should be like this and you shouldn't be like that, and you have to do this and you can't do that. And how do they know? You see. So many people go along to this kind of preset patterning, but maybe it doesn't suit you. Maybe it's not really true. You see. So meditation, spirituality has to do with discovering the self. The other thing that's important is that the world we live in is sending us off more and more into a materialistic sense of self and into materialism. And what we also have is we have a big economic crisis on our hands.
Right.
You see. Now these two things don't go together. If a person says, you know, my identity is determined by how much money I have, how many things I have, how many status symbols I have, how many cars, houses, boats, fridges, whatever it is, You see, and if that is my value, then I'm a thing, you see. And so spirituality is like an energy that comes knocking on the door of your mind and says, hey, wait a minute, you're not a thing, you're a being. You're someone, not something, you see. And so this then raises our curiosity that, okay, if I'm a someone, then what kind of a someone? And if I'm a someone, then you're a someone too. I mean, how many husbands and wives know each other? I don't think they do, you know. Do you know your mother and father?
Yeah.
To some extent.
To some extent.
But only, you know, the bit that they show you.
Right.
There's the other bit that they don't show you, you see. And so really meditation encourages us to really discover not only ourselves, but who am I living with? You know, what is it that makes that person tick? What are that person's values? What makes them lovable? You know, because it's not just, oh, they happen to be beautiful, and then what about when they're old and ugly, then what?
Right.
You see, that's not the person. That's the frame, that's the external.
So in this episode, Sister Denise explained to us why spirituality is essential for everyone, and she also in depth described this practice of meditation, and we will be talking more about it in the following episode too, and hopefully you will join us in that too. Thank you, Sister, for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us in this episode. Have a great day. A big welcome to all the viewers watching Soul to Soul talk show. It's our fortune that we have been joined with Sister Denise from UK in this show too, and let's first welcome her. Big welcome to you, Sister. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So in this journey covered so far, we learned many interesting things, like why spirituality is essential for everyone, you and me, and what is the practice of meditation, and we got to know about that in detail in the journey covered so far, and we will be taking up similar topics in this show too. Sister, you explained this practice of meditation so far, but can you tell us what are the factors that decide the quality of our meditation? Like, how do we know if we are meditating well?
Well, first thing is, starting point of meditation, you have to select a theme. What will you meditate on? And this is why the meditation goes together with a spiritual study. So the spiritual study will put forward certain concepts. And these are spiritual concepts which need to be thought about and pondered. So the first level of meditation is to consider these points. And the very first thought that we have to practice and think about is, I am not this body. So then what am I? So I am a soul, I have a body. What is a soul? It's a tiny being of light. It's non-physical. It's me. It's the animating force that runs this body. It is life. I am that. The soul is invisible. I am invisible. It's very different from how we normally think. Our normal consciousness, we call this body consciousness. We want, through meditation, to shift from body consciousness to soul consciousness. That means we think we are bodies. You know, you look in the mirror, you say, okay, that's me. Spirituality will say, no, 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 that's not you. That's your image. This is your physical form, it's your costume, it's your mask. Behind the mask is the real you. And so then you say, well, I want to see the real me. But you can't, it's invisible. So then, how do I think about myself as an invisible being of conscient light? So you have to start somewhere. So you start with the idea on the screen of your mind of a tiny point. Just like at night, when you look up in the sky, you see stars. That's what a soul looks like, a star. Tiny point of white light shining. And inside this star is your whole personality. Otherwise, normally we think our personality is, you know, it's in our brain, it's in our heart, you know, but the brain, the heart, this is really like the hardware. The soul is more like the software. Now, almost everybody knows how to work a computer these days, so there are a lot of analogies you can make with computers which are called artificial intelligence.
Right.
And so the hardware is visible. You have your keyboard, you have your mouse, you have your motherboard, you have your, you know, CPU and all this. And then you have a program. And the program itself, you can't see it physically. You understand it. In the same way with the soul, you can't see it physically, but you can understand it. That it's tiny light which thinks and considers ideas, distinguishes between nice, nasty, right, wrong, interesting, boring, and then within that you have so many different talents and specialities and characteristics that make up your individuality. That whole combination is inside a tiny star, and that is me. So we have to meditate on that and think, you know. So we start to think, okay, I'm not a body. I am a soul. I'm very tiny. My body is big. Bodies are big. Souls are very tiny. They're so tiny they don't even have any size at all, you see. And so then, you see, a soul is fundamentally peaceful. Now, people generally don't experience peace. Everything is rushing around and you're sort of wired, you know. But occasionally you go to some beautiful countryside place and you say, oh, it's peaceful here, finally, you know. All I want is to have a bit of peace of mind. A lot of people say they want peace of mind. And meditation says your mind is fundamentally at peace. When you forget yourself, then you lose your peace. So meditation means that you focus your attention on yourself as a soul. And so the focus of attention normally is on what you can see and hear. So externalized. Meditation means turn in the opposite direction, go in, go inside, and feel yourself as a peaceful soul. And people say, I can't do that. Okay, don't worry. Just think, I am a peaceful soul. Because when you think something deeply enough, for long enough, you start to experience the meaning of what you're thinking. You see? I did give you an example. You can think of your bedroom at home.
Yes, I can.
Yes? Now you're sitting here in the studio with me, but your mind can go in a second
Anywhere.
to your bedroom at home,
Right.
and you see what it's like, and then you can come back in a second.
Yes, I can.
So just as you can go in a second anywhere, you can also go in your mind to when you were 5 years old. You can do that. It means you can go backwards and forwards in time with your mind. And the mind is one of the faculties of the soul. So if we're sitting here, but you're thinking about when you were 5 years old, you may get so engrossed in that that you're really not here anymore. You see? And I'll say, hello, come back. And you will say, no, I was remembering my childhood, you see. So meditation is a kind of remembrance. But what we want to do in meditation is remember what it was like to be me when I was just a soul, nothing else. You see? So here I am, a soul in a body, playing a part with all these various different relatives and friends and so on. And I call myself that role. But now spirituality says that's just a role. The soul plays a role. But you are not a role. You are not your mask. You are not your costume. You are that one, that being who is speaking. So you have to practice thinking yourself, imagine that you are a couple of inches behind your eyes. You just go inside your head and your eyes are between you and the external reality. So I'm inside my head, looking out through my eyes, and I see the visible world. But by thinking that way, you're positioning yourself on the inside of your head. Now with hearing also, you can do the same thing. I'm on the inside, and I'm listening through my ears, you see. But the ears themselves are not hearing. I am hearing through my ears. Now you can block your ears and then you can't hear anymore, you see, but you're still there.
Right.
You see. And if I want to say something, then I use my mouth. If I want to make some gestures, I will use my hand,
Right.
you see. But who is moving? So you just practice, you're here. And you make your hand move from here to here by a thought, you see. And when we're doing it so deliberately like this, and really trying to see, okay, I'm the soul, and I put my hands on the arms of the chair, but my hands are not doing it by themselves. I, the soul, am making them do that, you see. In this way, we start to begin to feel that, yeah, what's going on is the soul uses the body. I use my eyes to see, I use my ears to hear, I use my mouth to talk, I use my hands to do things, you see. And so this body is my vehicle, you see. And like with any car, you can park it and get out, you see. And in the same way, the soul can separate itself from the body and be detached and say, okay, I'm the soul alone. And when I'm thinking of myself as a soul alone, then I can return to the original state of the soul, which is I am a soul at peace. Like matter, this body is material. This body is about 70% water. Right?
Right.
And so basically our body is a mixture of air, earth, fire, water, ether. So it's mud. Or sometimes I say to people, it's a leather bag with bones in. You know, that's what it is. The skin is leather. You see, it's not me. I am not a leather bag with bones in. I have one, but I am something different, you see. And the soul is so subtle. So we have to think about it in so many different ways in order to catch what exactly it is that I am. And there's two questions here. One is, what am I? A soul. This is a body, I'm a soul. And then the much more deep one is, who am I? Who? It's much more deep, much more subtle, much more difficult to answer, but at least we can start with the what. What am I? I'm a spiritual being in a physical body. Now the physical body, as we know, made up of the 5 elements, air, earth, fire and water. What are the components of the soul? You see. So there are 5 quintessential elements of the soul: purity, peace, power, love and bliss. This is what the soul is made of. You can't see purity, you can't see love. It's invisible. You see. So we have to get our minds to be able to think about non-physical qualities. You see, because you say, okay, I am a loving person. How do I know I'm a loving person? Is if I do actions which indicate this quality of love. But then if I don't do that, and I do actions which are quite, you know, unkind, then somebody will say, oh, this is an unkind person, you see. But the original, essential qualities of the soul, purity, peace, power, love and bliss, they are manifested through our karma, through our action. You see. Even with your eyes, you can look at somebody in a loving way, or in an angry way, or arrogant way. Different looks in the eyes, because the eyes are sometimes called the windows of the soul. You see. So when you want to know, is somebody telling you the truth, you say, okay, look in my eyes and tell me that again. And then maybe they can't. And then you say, well, probably you're lying. You see? There's something about when the eyes of two people meet, there's a soul-to-soul connection, and our program is called Soul-to-Soul Talk.
Right.
You see, and this is really what's going on. I the soul, you the soul, we're talking about the soul.
But we have to make an eye contact for that.
We have to.
Right.
Of course we have to. And if I look at the camera, I know that there's somebody who's watching their television, and I can look at them like that, and they can look at me. And we have a soul-to-soul contact that way.
So is that the reason why Raj Yoga is done with the eyes open?
Well, life is done with the eyes open, right? So the soul lives through the body, but what we have to change is the consciousness. So if you close your eyes, then you can't see anymore. Just closing your eyes, ears, mouth and everything doesn't actually enable you to make contact with the soul. It's more subtle than that. Thinking, okay, I the soul am looking through my eyes. My eyes are like a camera, you see. But the cameraman is different from the camera. And so the soul is like the cameraman who is using the eyes, and I can look this way or I can look over here. Or I can look down, or I can look up, I can close my eyes. You see, I do what I want, I the soul. And if I want to know what the visible world is, then I open my eyes. But if I close my eyes, it doesn't change anything. I still know what's there, you see. So to meditate with open eyes means to become internalized, to practice withdrawing inside so that we don't exist on the surface of the face, but we exist on the inside of the face, seeing the world with some distance. This we call detachment. And what that does is it gives you a possibility, greater possibility, to decide what you will do. You are not under the influence of sense perceptions when you distance yourself from them. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I see some terrible scene, but I'm practiced at being internalized, it's easier for me to manage it. You see. Otherwise I'm totally caught up in it, controlled by it. And so meditation is a practice we do for self-mastery. We say that the soul wants to be the master of itself, or the master of the body, or the master of our actions, you see, because ultimately I am responsible for what I do. Sometimes we say, oh, you made me angry. Spirituality will say, excuse me, nobody can make you angry. Somebody may have done something provocative, but if you got angry, you got angry. All by yourself. But we say, no, 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 they provoked me.
Right.
It's their fault. And spirituality will say, no, it's not their fault. You are responsible for getting provoked. So then, how do I actually get that mastery and actually have that possibility that you provoke me to anger, but I choose to be peaceful? I see. That means I need distance between myself and you. I need distance between myself and my organs of perception, so that I have a moment, at least a second, to choose what I will do.
Right.
You see. And then we say Swaraj, you say the rule of the self. You see. And so this is what we try to do with the meditation, is practice detaching from the sense organs, so that I decide how will I respond to something that I perceive through my senses. You may tell me something, you may insult me, you see, and if I am not detached from my ears, I'll totally be caught up in that and reactive and so on. But if I practice, okay, my action depends on me, not on you. Is that right?
Right, it does.
But how can I exercise that right? I have to be detached from my ears. You see, so meditation is to bring us to the inside, so that I am not under the influence of my sense perceptions, which dictate my action, my karma.
But is this practice like difficult, unnatural in the beginning?
Well, of course it takes time, because it's new. You know, if you want to learn Chinese, it's going to take time as well.
Yes, anything new takes time.
Yes, and so meditation is an art, is a science, and it depends on the individual how good you want to be at it, you see. And it's very subtle also, but it's very, very useful. And so the more somebody finds something useful, the more they will develop their ability. You see, nowadays, I find that, you know, everybody have a mobile phone, you see. And then there are some mobile phones, they just make phone calls. But now you have smartphones. They will give you your emails, they will take photographs, they'll practically make you your coffee in the morning, you know. And so you have to be quite knowledgeable to know how to work this little thing. And if you know very well how to use it, then you can get a lot of value out of it. In the same way, meditation is a body of knowledge and a practice which allows I, the self, to be a master of my own life. And also that I can make changes in my life. You know, sometimes people feel victim of circumstances. Oh, what can I do? All these people are this way, that way, and the other way. Well, there is something you can do. And in a way, it's very good for us to have all these difficulties because they become our laboratory. It's like the university of life. And we have to learn how to work out our pathway in life so that we can be successful. And so successful means what? That I can maintain my self-respect, that I can do actions according to my conscience, and that I create as much as possible good karma. You see, so the whole idea of karma, which we can also talk about, is part of what we learn. Because if you do good actions through your body, then this creates a result. And that result makes your life either better if you do good karma, or worse if you do bad karma. You see?
So in this program we saw some interesting aspects of meditation, that it is just an art, a science of remembering who you were originally and using that to master yourself. We will be discussing more on the spiritual study that is the base of this meditation in the forthcoming episodes with Sister Denise. So hoping you will join us in those programs too. I'm taking leave now. Thank you, Sister, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us in this show, Soul to Soul Talk Show. Have a great day.